Hello and welcome to
I.
I'm Iris.
And I'm James, and in today's video we're going to be reacting to this video.
My son is biracial. He is black and white. And he lives in a house full of white people. The person he calls dad is also white. That is his father. That is who has raised him since he was a baby. He is now 7. If you are biracial or African American and you have the time, please watch this and leave any feedback you might have, because I don't know what to do. So my son looked at me and said, serious as a heart attack, he said, "I wish I was white with straight hair." And it floored me. And I said, "What did you say to me?" And he said, "I wish I was white with straight hair, Mom. What do I do to do that?" And I started crying immediately, because on what earth does my baby boy feel like he's different or should be white when he is fucking beautiful? I mean, my son is beautiful, okay? And he said, excuse me, we live in a county where it is predominantly white. We live in the South as well, so it's country. Not a lot of biracial children or black children in his school. Very few. So he said, everybody at school is white. Some have curly hair, but they're all white. They all look the same. They're all alike. Everybody in the house is white. They're alike. But I'm this boring brown color. And I think that's why nobody likes me. I said to him, "You are perfect. God made you the way he made you because you are a beautiful brown boy who should love himself. You are beautiful." And he said to me, "Mom, you don't get it. You're white. I'm brown." And that's when I realized that as a white mother of a biracial child, I can't be there for him on some things. I can be there as much as I can, but he knows I don't understand. And what the saddest thing about this is that I've never taught my son about racism. I haven't had to yet. And I haven't. And I should have probably before, but I haven't. And I haven't taught him about anything. So he learned racism on his own and is ashamed of what he looks like. And that is the sad fucking fact of all of this. So please help me if you can. Thank you.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, you know, to analyze actually, because we do have mixed race children, but we live in a totally different world, even though they do live in a similar situation to this 7-year-old boy. They are growing up in a predominantly European neighborhood, country, area, everything about it. Tell me what you think. What do you think about it?
The question that I had watching the video was, how come she had to wait for him to turn 7 to get confronted with something like that? I mean, you know, it's like we have TV, we have Google, we have a day-to-day life where, you know, we hear or we see it. I mean, the fact that either she didn't know, you can't tell me she didn't know, you know.
She lives in Kentucky. It's one of the worst parts.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst parts. So I think that to a degree that there is either some real major ignorance going on there. I cannot see how that could be the case growing up as a European American in Kentucky. You know, you're surrounding yourself around with people, and you know what people are going to be like in those parts, right? Most people in those parts don't even have a passport. A lot of those people in those parts have never even left the state, okay? So you can't expect them to totally understand about different ethnicities and cultures from other parts of America, yet alone of African origin. I don't know what it is. We're going to try and break it down today. First, like always, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe and share. A whopping 91% of you guys who are watching this channel have not subscribed to the channel. I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, as it does really help with the algorithms. It will help this channel to grow, and the more this channel grows, the better the content that we can make for free for you. So please go ahead and do that, and we'd like to thank you in advance. So to start things off, we're just going to go through the video again. We're just going to analyze a few bits and pieces of the video. I believe her name is Caitlin. Her TikTok handle is Strawberry Cup Kate.
We're gonna put it in the video.
Yeah, we'll put it in the video.
He is black and white, and he lives in a house full of white people. The person he calls dad is also white. That is his father. That is who has raised him since he was a baby. He is now 7.
Okay, there is a big problem with this. So I did a little bit of research.
Okay.
And yeah, it's crazy that this woman has brought this child up in an environment where not only is there nobody that looks like him in that environment, but there is no contact with other people, even other people from his own family. That's a really bad situation to start off with in the first place. This is a massive problem, guys, and I'm going to explain to you the reasons why a little later on in this video.
If you are biracial or African American and you have the time, please watch this and leave any feedback you might have, because I don't know what to do.
I don't want to keep stopping this, but she asked anyone who was African American to help them. So she's calling out to the African American community. You know the African American community, I know the African American community, and in general the African American community is quite conservative.
Oh.
The African American community is actually quite conservative. If you look at the rate of people in the African American community who get involved in interracial relationships, it is very, very low.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is very low. I think it's not even 10%, which means 90% of all African Americans date African Americans. So when you're seeing relationships, mixed race relationships in the States, you're seeing, and you see them on TikTok, you see them being promoted, it's actually a very tiny percentage of the European American and African American community that are taking part in interracial relationships. My point is that you shouldn't really ask all African Americans. It's important, because you're going to see some of the replies that she got. Some of the replies were just arrogant, belittling, ignorant, from African Americans mainly, who have never had a mixed race relationship before, or who don't have mixed race children. So I think that's a problem, her asking the African American community in general. I think she should have asked any African American or any parent.
That has biracial.
There you go. Okay. Perfect. Okay.
So my son looked at me and said, serious as a heart attack, he said, "I wish I was white with straight hair." And it floored me. And I said, "What did you say to me?" And he said, "I wish I was white with straight hair, Mom. What do I do to do that?" And I started crying.
You said something about this, about if
Oh yeah. Okay. That's why I was a little bit surprised, because I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, you can think that far ahead to understand that if you was in a predominantly black environment or school all your life, wouldn't you want to be black as well? Wouldn't you want to have beautiful curly hair, the same skin color? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The environment makes you and forms you. This is why I have a problem with, I don't know. She seems a little bit desperate for something else. I don't know. It's a little strange to me that you're having this kid and you don't realize, you have to wait for him to turn 7 years old to realize that how he has been growing up will result in in identity issues, in questions like that, in wanting to get out of your own skin.
You get some people who are so stupid. Sorry. You will get some parents who will have mixed race children. The European ancestry parent who will see that child as being absolutely beautiful, pristine, nothing wrong with him whatsoever, to the degree in which it blinds them into thinking everybody else thinks exactly the same. Yeah. So you got to remember that, you know, there can be reasons why she didn't do it, because she perhaps didn't think that there was any need to.
Because on what earth does my baby boy feel like he's different or should be white when he is fucking beautiful? I mean, my son is beautiful, okay? And he said, excuse me, we live in a county where it is predominantly white. We live in the South as well, so it's country. Not a lot of biracial children or black children in his school. Very few. So he said, everybody at school is white. Some have curly hair, but they're all white. They all look the same. They're all alike. Everybody in the house is white. They're alike. But I'm this boring brown color. And I think that's why nobody likes me.
Wow, man. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Children are not stupid. No. They have very powerful senses, and you know, we need to listen to those, you know, listen to our children and learn to listen to our children. You remember when, you know, our daughter now has a problem with one of her pedagogues, okay? She has a problem with one of them. Whenever she sees her, she starts crying. She doesn't want to go near her. She doesn't want her to accept her into the, you know, the play group. But whenever she sees the other pedagogue, what do you call a pedagogue in English? Like a teacher, like a kindergarten teacher, yeah? Whenever she sees one of the other teachers, it's not a problem. So, you know, you cannot ignore that.
And do you remember when you said that to me? I said I have to see with my own eyes. So I went to the kindergarten to see the teacher, and I didn't feel her. I wasn't feeling her. I wasn't feeling her energy. And then you said, well, she just, you know, you never know what people go through. She might just be, that just might be her character, because you have those type of people, right?
Yeah.
But it kept happening over and over again. Every time she sees her, she cries. And I really wonder what it is, because I spoke to the director of the kindergarten, and I said to her, listen, my child is not white, and my child is going to a white kindergarten, right? There is no one who has her complexion. And I said, and I hope you understand that I am even more paranoid when it comes to any little thing that I sense or see or feel, or any signal that I get from her. I'm going to question that. And she doesn't like your pedagogue, and I really wonder what it is. And I brought up the racism subject, and she completely just went white. She was like, wow, the fact that you're even bringing this up, I can guarantee you there is none of that in my kindergarten. I am the first one who would cancel those people, so you don't have to worry about it. And I said, you know what? I looked her in the eyes and I said, listen, I trust you. We trust you. And that was basically just a way to should I say scare her, or just to tell her, like, listen, we're watching and we trust you. So, you know, you kind of put that responsibility on them.
Exactly.
For them to not mess up. But we're still watching it.
I need to say two things. Number one is never give racists or people who you suspect of being racist the benefit of the doubt. Okay? Don't make excuses for them. Don't, you know, maybe they're having a bad day. I did that. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't do it, right? You should always find the core problem. And that's what we're investigating right now. None of the other children have a problem with her. So it's like, okay. So, you know, these are questions as a parent you should always ask, always ask, and always listen to your child. The other pedagogue said to Edith, oh, you know, trust me, you know. No, you don't ever trust anybody else in that way. You trust yourself as a mother, you trust yourself as a father, you trust your own intuition, and you trust your child. That's number one. Listen to your child and trust them.
I said to him, you are perfect. God made you the way he made you because you are a beautiful brown boy who should love himself. You are beautiful. And he said to me, Mom, you don't get it, you're white. I'm brown. And that's when I realized that as a white mother of a biracial child, I can't be there for him on some things. I can be there as much as I can, but he knows I don't understand. And what the saddest thing about this is that I've never taught my son about racism. I haven't had to yet. And I haven't. And I should have probably before, but I haven't.
Okay.
It's almost like she's living in this dystopian world where she's like, oh, nothing is going to happen. I love my child. He's so gorgeous. He's so beautiful. What bothers me is that she said to him, you should learn to love yourself. You do realize that grown people, this is one of the main issues that grown adults are dealing with, loving themselves. Now say that to a child, you should learn to love yourself while seeing everyone around you who does not look like you. Just make it make sense.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And ultimately, children learn from what they see. Okay, so you shouldn't have to teach a child that. Okay, the parents should be together, you know, and that, or if the child's father is not around, then she should at least make some effort with that child's family. It does, even if she has bad blood with the father, she can always, you know, open up to the family. Why not? Yeah. There's something going on there, right? Yeah. There's something going on there. So, and we know that there are women out there, and I'm gonna be brutal about this. There are women out there that keep their children away from their fathers.
Yes.
And they do it all the time, and they'll look at you in your face, look in your eyes, and they'll say, oh yeah, he's such a bad person. Or they'll say something like, oh, yeah, he ran off somewhere and we don't know where he is and we can't contact him. And, you know, he's a black guy. You know what these black guys are like, you know. They will do that, all whilst they are doing everything in their power to keep that father away from the child that he really wants to see.
The damage is being created. Oh God.
Exactly. Think about the trauma that child is going to have to go through because of that selfish person.
Ego. Pride and hurt feelings that have nothing to do with the child.
Exactly.
They have nothing to do with the child.
I think it's really disgusting when you see women using the child to get back at the father.
And knowing at the same time, and this is what I mean, abuse by power. Not, of course, we're not putting everyone in a box, but we are both speaking from experience, because you have your experience with women and I have my experience by women that I know and stories that I hear. Where they just abuse the power of knowing that the government will 99.9% be on their side no matter what. So it's like you as a father can pay alimentation money, but you don't get to see the child, or I make the rules, or I don't come to the appointment, or I always come late, so you have little time with the child. And all of that is just about me, trying to hurt you, trying to play these games, while at the same time, or in reality, it is affecting the child.
Well, the child that's suffering.
The child is the one that's suffering.
Yeah.
And I just goosebumps thinking about that.
Be careful with who you're laying in bed with, guys. Really be careful.
I taught him about anything. So he learned racism on his own and is ashamed of what he looks like. And that is the sad fucking fact of all of this.
He was always going to learn racism on his own, okay? Unless you really caught it at some time. And this is what I'm saying. You know,
like your mom, right? With the knife or the gun or what? A story where your mom stepped out of the house.
You remember that? Yeah. So anyway, to make a long story short, somebody called me a name, a much older guy, by the way. I think I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I told my mother about it. And my mother immediately, while she was fully pregnant, she immediately went out. She put on some clothes to protect her stomach and pulled out a cutlass. It was about this big. Went straight around the back to find him. And that was like, she was like, I saw that woman as, she was like Superman. She was a god, in my eyes. I know, just think about that, you know. Did not care, you know. I don't know where we would have been without her, really. Amazing woman. Unless you're lucky, you know, and you get to a time in which that boy, you're able to communicate with the boy. That boy's always going to have some sort of racism focused towards him, and he's not going to understand what it is. You know, there is something called complicit bias. Is that what it's called? So this is what I think might be going on with our daughter in this kindergarten. I'm not saying that it's definitely happened, but it's on our mind. We're thinking, is she being treated differently? But the pedagogues, they don't know. They don't know they're doing it, but they're doing it. You understand? There are a number of blue-eyed blonde children. This is Austria, okay, that are in her same class. So yeah, we understand what Caitlin, this lady, is saying here, and we've already made plans because it cannot be sustained this way, because you're going to get children who are going to have identity crisis in the end.
However, I feel like at the same time, while we are in a predominantly white country, we are doing whatever we can for her to be surrounded by people who look like her, right? I mean, her dad, you look like her. Most of my friends' kids look like her. The books that I buy, all the kids look like her. The music that she listens to, the music videos that she sees, most of the kids there look like her, you know. So it's like you do where you are the best that you can until you can change even that environment, right?
I think you need to ask yourself a hard question. Is it enough?
It's never enough.
I disagree with that, but we're not going to go into that.
It's never fully enough, but that's what I said in the beginning. You didn't listen to me, right? I said in the beginning you do what you can, and then until you move the environment.
You already said that.
Because I think that even with people who look like her, she will have encounters where she would have to explain who she is, and I think it's never going to be enough where she will not struggle, or she will not encounter racism in some form or another. But you can try your best to reduce it.
You cannot 100% eliminate it, but you can reduce it to levels. I mean, if you go to live in, you know, rural Africa, where there is no concept of them being black people, okay, because black people in rural Africa, they don't even know what a black person is. They're just people. And there's a white person.
But
what?
They will not see her as one of them. They will see her as foreigner.
No, I'm just using that as an example. If you bring your child, whilst they're still young, into an environment with their own people that will accept them, you know, that's their people, their culture, their father or their mother's offspring, you know, I think you can limit to a massive degree how much problems they're going to have in the future.
That's exactly what I meant. You're just saying it in a different way.
What I want to do next is I want to go through some of the replies. And we're going to react to some of these replies because I think some of them, very few of them are helpful. Really, very few of them are helpful. But even the ones that are helpful, you can tell that, especially in America, there are a lot of people that have problems with race. They are confused somewhat about the concept of race and what it means, the difference between culture, ethnicity and race. They have no idea. Trust me, you're going to have to take a listen to it to understand.
One of my commenters kept saying this, they kept saying it. I'm like, I need to go see for myself. This is the desperate mother of the biracial boy's husband, the dad in the house, wearing a 1776 white nationalist hat with a fat ass American flag on his forearm. If for y'all who don't know, just look up 1776 white nationalist. And then let me know if you still gonna have that cape on. Just let me know if you feel like that was genuine. Please.
The truth is coming out.
Yeah.
People do research, huh? People really dig deep.
And that was a good one, actually. Yeah. But there is a massive problem that people seldom understand, that a lot of mixed race children get brought up in. They get brought up in households with one of the parents, and you always make the assumption that both parents are going to be fine with that child's background. And in a lot of cases, that just isn't the case. You'll get one parent, you can have one parent that has problems with one of the sides of the culture. In fact, so you got to take a look at this, right? That Caitlin had that child, a mixed race child, with, of course, a man of African descent, African American descent. And then afterwards, she got with this guy who's been bringing this child up right throughout his short life until he's 7 years old now. So he now sees this man as dad.
Oh God.
And this dad, this guy has some associations with groups that do not accept this child.
So terrible.
And this Caitlin, of course, has allowed this man who has these associations to have contact, huge amounts of contact with this boy who's in this fragile situation anyway, right? He's in a situation where he doesn't have people like him around him, and he's got this guy who is more than likely, whispering into his ear, or they're not blatant with it. They'll just say it in a way in which the child won't understand. The child will think that he's being helpful, but in actual fact, he's trying to destroy this child's confidence, his ego, everything, which is going to make things even worse. So guys, you have to be really careful about who you are bringing into your life afterwards. I'm not sure if this Caitlin is aware that this guy is a POS, but yeah.
If she hasn't been aware 7 years about the things her child might be facing, I guess she's not even aware about who she's together with.
So you said you need answers. So I'll give an answer and then I'll give my own testimony. Maybe that'll help. Of how you have a biracial child, your son, half black, half white. And he's now made comments to you saying that he wishes he was white. Now, answer is that the best thing to do would be to move out of that area. You said it's predominantly white, it's not diverse. He needs to be in an area of people that look like him. And let's look at reality, right? The reality of you moving away, like how much money that would cost, but also your own connection to your area.
I wish I was white with straight.
Let's be realistic. So the next realistic thing to do is for you to educate yourself. And I would recommend reading this book, Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? This is an amazing book where it intros for white people of understanding how important it is for non-white people.
Because on what earth does my baby...
Primarily black, but the author also mentions other races of the impact of being in a white area, what that does. So you have a better understanding and awareness for that. It also explains about how, as a white person, the more that you learn about anti-racism, you start to become more aware and less tolerant of certain phrases. You'll start to catch stuff much quicker around your white community, and that'll cause issues where you will start to feel different. You'll start to feel more separate from your white loved ones, as well as your white loved ones will likely start to separate themselves from you or start to treat you differently, because now you're acting differently. You're more aware. You're calling out racism more. You're not tolerating it anymore, and that'll make you feel lonely. And what she recommends for that is for you to find white people who are experiencing the same thing as you, so that you have a community to where you can vent and express yourself fully with people who are on the same level as you, because it can be tiring talking to, if you were to do this, to talk to non-white people about your situation, it's kind of draining. But always ask non-white people if you can vent, right? But also the author is a story of a white woman who adopted a Latina child, a brown child, and how important it was for her to understand that she needs to surround him with the Latina community. Now, my testimony, I grew up in a predominant white area, less than 2% black, and I had major identity issues because my parents did not talk about race at all. And, you know, this is a different time period, your son versus when I was younger, when I was around his age, 7 to 8 years old, and I would look in the mirror when I got home and tell myself how ugly I was. Because I noticed how different, my skin color is clearly different. And people didn't say anything about my skin color. I just, as a child, I believe I read, like, by the time that a child is 4, they start to be able to discern and see the difference in how people look, and they come to their own conclusions.
Yeah, I think he was spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people are saying to change the environment.
Exactly.
And also, like, educating yourself and reading. And he's very right about that. You know, once you educate yourself, you're even more, you become very sensitive to signals around you, to seeing stuff and questioning things. And also, you might clash with family members, you might clash with friends, because they will not understand, because they're not experiencing it. You know, they don't have a biracial child, they haven't read any book, or they haven't questioned it, they haven't really thought about that. And you might clash with them to the point where you might lose some people, really. And trying to explain, like, listen, you don't know, because you don't have to deal with those issues because you're white. I'm sorry to say that, but because you are surrounded by people who look like you in that city or in that country where you live. How can you know? Well, you can just imagine, you can just try to put yourself in someone's shoes by understanding how must it feel if I'm being brought up and raised in an environment where almost everyone doesn't look like me. That must be terrible. It must be terrible.
I'd like to reply to that, because I grew up in a similar fashion. So I grew up in a part of central England where I would say the population of my area was about 2% as well, between 2 and 5% black. There weren't a lot of black people in our area. However, I was blessed. I was really lucky to have a natural mindset of believing that I was better than everybody else, because of not because of my skin color, but because I looked different. And that was because of the way I was thinking. I was able to listen to other people and what they spoke about, what they were interested in. They weren't interested in the same things as I was. I was interested in sports. I was interested in science. I loved that sort of stuff. I could sit down and talk for hours about it, even when I was young. Nobody else thought the same way. They were busy thinking about how, what cigarettes to buy, and really, really dumb things. So I was brought up with not an inferior complex, but directly the opposite, that I was somehow better than all my white or European counterparts in school. It's crazy, because I was receiving a lot of racism at the time from all the people that were around me when I was 9, 10 10, 11 years old. I was getting chased home from school and everything, but I still believed that that they were chasing me because they weren't me, that I'll somehow, I had something that they didn't, which is the truth, right? Think about how pathetic you must be, or how pathetic your father must be to send their 11, 12, 13-year-old child to go and beat up some little kid with an afro walking home from school. Think about how much of a loser you must be. And I know those kids now. I've seen them afterwards, and I give them the eye. They know it. They know I would use them now. Really, I would. I mean, I can't go too deep into the subject now, but it wouldn't work out well for them.
You know what I always used to say? Yeah. I always used to say that you don't destroy what you don't fear. If you don't fear something, if you don't have a problem with something, if you're not jealous of something, you don't want to do everything in your power to destroy it in any type of form. It doesn't have to be physical aggression. It can be all sorts of things, but that's my little thing. I don't want to go too deep into that, but you know,
like that.
You don't want to destroy what you don't fear.
The person he calls dad is also white. That is his father. That is who has raised him since he was.
So the American flag tattoo and the 1776 hat. This lady told us without telling us that she's raising her son in a racially hostile environment. And TikTok, starting to get like Twitter detectives, discovered that photo. On her page, actually. Black people's spidey senses are unmatched. And it's probably so much worse than what she actually said it is. I can only imagine what that baby is going through in that household. It's the black people offering up their children as community for this child, for me. And they're not even safe in the presence of his family. And he's not. So what makes you... Never mind. I'm going to let y'all handle it. I ain't going to say nothing else.
I think it's nice that you have people that are trying to help. But no, that link between him and that man with the affiliations with white supremacist groups, she will need to break that bond with him. She would need to, and this is what you was talking about before, right? You need to put your child first and not think about anybody else. Everybody else is just secondary. Yes. You put your child, his feelings first, you know, and his upbringing.
And she's asking for help. Then people start digging. Then they find this out. And then instead of focusing on what people are telling her and focusing on, changing the environment and changing something about bettering the life of your child, she's going full defense on her partner.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm going to tell you something that you may not have heard ever before. Iris, put down the phone. Okay. I'm going to tell you something that you've never heard before. Don't even look at it. Come on, focus. Okay? Focus. Listen to me. Okay. All right. I'm going to tell you something that you've never heard before, right? That you've probably never heard before. When you, as a black man, if you have a child with a European woman, right, and you leave that child, she will have men go after her, men of her kin, all right, European men. If it's a European woman, she will have European men who will seek her, who will do everything to be with her, right, because she had a relationship before with a man of African origin.
What?
Yeah. I know. Not even you know this. They do this on purpose, right? Because they want to teach this woman that the European man is the hero. I'm the hero. I'm here to save the day. I will be the father to your son, your inferior son. I know. This is a horrible thing to say. It's true. There are people who are racists, absolute racists, who will go after you because you have a mixed race child, and that will give them the opportunity to instill a mindset into that child and allow it to blossom into something. There are so many mixed race children who are anti-black racists. There are mixed children who are anti-black racists because their father, who may not be their biological father, the man that got brought up with that child, has instilled that mindset into them. Sometimes it's the mother, sometimes it's the mother that's instilled it. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
How do you know? How did you come up with that?
I've experienced it. Let's say. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, I just know that is the case. You feel it, you know it, and it's like, wow, these people, I'm impressed by them a lot, because imagine knowing that you are a loser and you've come to terms with that in your own heart, that you are pathetic. So you say, oh, okay, then, well, I know I'm pathetic, but now I don't want other people to have good lives, to be happy or anything else. So I'm going to teach other people how to be just as pathetic as I am. This is the reason why I always struggle to have good bonds with other parents who are in interracial relationships. You can't always believe them. It's not like, oh, this European man is with an African woman. Okay, so the European man must not be racist. No. The fact that he's with an African woman may be the reason why he is that way. I always think that the best thing to do, if you are in a mixed relationship and you are planning on having children, think about where you're going to bring those children up, because that is priority number one. Yes. That they are brought up within that environment. You shouldn't have to tell your child you are special. You shouldn't have to tell your child, yes, you're different, but you are one of us. You shouldn't have to tell your child that. They should be brought up in an environment where there are so many other people that look like them that they don't even question it. Mm-hmm. You understand? So that is what I think is incredibly important for a child's upbringing, to have that stability in their mind, so they don't have that identity crisis later on in the future. Oh, there's people around me. Oh, I wish I looked like this. Oh, I got to dress this certain way, especially when they get to their teens. I don't want my kids getting to their teens and they start asking those questions. I want my kids to get to the teens and know that they are normal. I think that is ultimately the number one thing you need to do. You need to ultimately not get to a situation where your kid is coming to you with this. You need to hit it off before it happens. So if you're watching this and you have a child, a very young child, and you're bringing them up in an environment where the vast majority of the people around him don't look like him, do something about it now. Don't leave it until it becomes a problem, okay? Because it could affect that child for the rest of his life. It's your responsibility to do this, nobody else's, especially not that child's. Even before you get pregnant, if you're planning to have children, think about it. It's important for them.
Put yourself in the shoes of someone who doesn't look like you and who has been brought up by people who don't look like him. It shouldn't be taking you 7 years to figure it out. We'd like to thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, tell us what you think about it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, wait. Yes, guys. Sorry, you can put this first. Sorry. So guys, if there is anybody else out there that has mixed race children, just give us your opinion. What have you done in order to make sure that your child is not going to have an identity crisis like this lady's child that had, when he's 7, 8, 9 years old? Have you done anything? Did you know it was going to happen? Have you taken any action against it? Let us know in the comment section below. It'd be really good to hear your opinion on this.
Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment, and we'll see you in the next one.
Ciao.
My God. 1 hour, James. I will kill you.